Hello, here we are, British People's League, Dinosaur News. Boy at the camera here, still trying to get the camera adjusted. What's new? This is where we left off, isn't it? Beattie still not technically adapt. Gotta get the red ensign in, Canada's good old flag up there. Well, it's kind of a different view of the room today, but let's see how she goes. So how are you anyway? It's Mother's Day. Mother's Day. Those whose mothers are still around, celebrate the fact. Have a good day. So, it's been a while. Thought I'd better come on. There's so much going on. I have to make some comments, don't I? British People's League Dinosaur News brought to you today, May the 10th, 2015. As well as being Mother's Day, check out May 10th on the history of this date. I just did a Google and just typed in May 10th history dates. Unbelievable. There's so much going on May the 10th throughout the history of Western civilization. I didn't want to get specific on any one item, but I'm stressing to you, check it out. Unbelievable. Oh, American Civil War stuff and Jews being kicked out of different countries for usury. All this is all listed on Google. Just on and on the list goes. Second World War stuff, and boy, unreal. So May 10th is quite the day. So when I added all this up, I thought, well, it's time to make another appearance. Even though there hasn't been contributions, I stick to my word that I will not do a show if there aren't contributions. So I contributed myself to the registration for the British People's League, around $50 or so. So if no one out there is appreciating the show, or is it just people who just expect Johnny to just carry on his own? Or I have to admit, there are British groups that are doing a good job in Britain. Let's forget the elections, okay? The elections in Britain last week aren't going to change the African and Asian invasion of Britain or to Canada or the United States one iota, one drop. But anyway, again, May the 10th. In spite of all the doom and gloom, enjoy Mother's Day. Those who still have your children and remember them as such, and seniors who still got their kids kicking around. Okay, what else have we got in our little list? I did want to stress for our buddies, our partners in patriotism in Britain, the book that they reproduced by A.K. Chesterton, Facing the Abyss. And this was buried under some papers, and I'm ashamed to say, a couple of times I want to show it for friends. Candor.org.uk, great publishing house, great friends of ours. And yes, the reason for bringing it up too, they dedicated this second edition to yours truly. This second edition is dedicated to the British Canadian patriot, John Beattie. So of course I'm very, very honored. But I just want to stress again the fine publishing situation with Candor. C-A-N-D-O-U-R, candor.org.uk. They really got some great stuff. Now, we're talking about the British groups. There's different groups in the States. There's one particular show I have to give a plug for. I do it, you know, conditional. It's called Political Cesspool. It's on every Saturday evening, North America Eastern Standard Time, from 7 to 10 p.m. 3 hours. James Edwards is the host, and he has a couple of fine co-hosts and so on. There's a chat room attached to it. So while the show is ongoing, listeners to the show get to talk about the show on a chat room provided by the Council of Conservative Citizens. So I've been commenting recently, along with some patriots, of course. I must say, I'm kind of amazed. I'm the only one that uses my real name. Now, well, having the gray hair and having the pension guaranteed, I suppose, is one reason I can use my real name. Plus, I'm in a small village area where the orangutangs of the extreme left aren't going to be bothered whistling up here to bug an old guy, are they? So I can use my name. But anyway, the comments on this show are terrific. The only hesitant part that I have is in the chat room as well. There are what you call agent provocateurs. And throughout the patriotic groups, it happens in Motherland, it happens in America, it happens in Canada, there's this line of bringing up World War II, the cultists, World War II cultists. And I suspect a lot of Zionists put people up to this, to have all the different patriotic groups smeared as neo-Nazis and fascists, etc. Sure, the Jews have got their power block. We're lacking one. Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celts, we lack a power block. That's what the dream of this here boy with the British People's League. We want to be a successful lobby force on behalf of our peoples around the globe. Speaking of building things up, I'll refer back to the municipal elections in Ontario, Canada last October. Now this boy got about 5% of the vote, which in the small village area was around 214 votes, and I guess the winner got around 2,000, whatever. My point is, those who adhere to these YouTubes, the British People's League Dinosaur News YouTubes, will recall the amount of publicity, coast to coast, international publicity, that I dared to run for the position of Deputy Reeve, the small village area. But the test has worked out fine. We received over 214 votes. Now, to be a voter, it's not like down in Southern California, occupied territory by Mexico. Here you have to, have proof that you're qualified to vote, Canadian citizen, the whole bit, and that you live in the area, or rent in the area, or own property in the area, whatever. Now, there's 214 people who voted for this boy after the most vicious attack. Unbelievable. As our pal Grizz in Fountain Falls says, there was more publicity attacking me than the Hells Angels publicity, for God's sake. People trying to figure out why in hell, even some locals, who's out for you, John? What's going on? Well, I can tell you, it relates back to 1978, a book that still hasn't been produced by yours truly, Canada's Secret Civil War. Stuff did go on, and there's people, one local Legion fellow here in Minden, Ontario, Canada, said, well, what did you do? He couldn't believe the screams and the yells from the public press. And I can tell you what we did was, in the dead of night, from 1978 till I'd say 10 years, 1988, we'll get that damn book before I croak. We'll get that book out. But that's the reason why. But hey, I'm building up to something. With that 214 votes, now that's one small village area, There's got to be, if you look at a map of Ontario, Canada, 1,000 villages, at least. Now, with all those vicious newspapers attacks, and there's still 215 residing citizens voted for yours truly, for the position of Deputy Reeve in the Town Council. 1,000 villages, am I doing my math right? 200 votes, 200 people, 200 sympathizers. 20,000 people, that would be. 20,000 people who think our way, who think the way of the British People's League. It's not an exaggeration. Again, those who have followed these YouTubes, these broadcasts, will have seen the smears against yours truly. Well, smears, but actually it sorted out the chaff from the good wheat. We got those votes. We earned those votes. One local newspaper actually used those words, that John Beattie earned over 200 votes. And again, 1,000 villages. So that's why it's stressed on yours truly's Facebook, John Beattie Facebook, the BPL van plan, to shake up the small villages. The small villages of Ontario is our base. Whereas in the motherland, things are so bad with the African and Asian invasion that they could protest in every city in Britain and it still wouldn't be enough. Well, I guess we could say the same here, but I want to concentrate on the villages. That's where the white flighters live. And again, as we say, the signs would state, keep our villages majority white. It has to be done. The villages are the last hope we have to preserve Western civilization. That's where people have escaped to. Cottagers for years, and then they said, to hell with the multicultural mob in the cities, we're going to switch from being cottagers to full-time villagers. And thank God that they are. I'm treated with nothing but respect everywhere I go. One guy in this whole village, over the whole election period, one person called me when he was half hammered from across the street, "You racist bastard." Well, I don't want to reflect on my mother on Mother's Day, so that wasn't very nice of him, was it? Now, one phone call with all the news media BS, a lot of people, even Jewish people, a lot of people must have realized what a load of crap being said about this Beattie guy. I didn't get one negative phone call over the whole build-up. I guess filed the papers in June, July, August, September, October. 5 months of being slammed in the press. So what's that got to do with May 10th, 2015, Beattie? Well, again, it was a litmus test that if over 200 people will vote for yours truly and what the British People's League stands for in one village area, imagine, I think it's fair logic, certitude, to assume that there would be 200 people talk our language of the 1,000 villages at random in Ontario, Canada. Think of what we could do with 20,000 people. Well, the first thing would be picketing in the small villages to wake them up. Then what happens if there's scuffles with some of our rougher young people who are itching to really thrust the views forward, or got charged with being in a fight or something? Tell them all to be good girls and boys, but hey, can't control everybody. But if they got in a problem, well, the secret is, as I typed onto the political cesspool comment section last evening, when the people with the money can provide bail money so that our young lads and lassies can get out of the slammer if they're held for having a fisticuff somewhere, which we never encourage, but we have the right to defend ourselves. And probably charges would be dropped before trial anyway. Here in Ontario, the jails are full of illegal immigrants. That's why people committing assaults, a lot of assaults on wives and girlfriends, and they're getting off with weekends in the slammer, 30 days, 60 days, light as can be sentences. The jails are full, they're packed. Lindsay, Ontario, I believe we still have it on our Facebook. If you scroll down, there was a picket by third world immigrant supporters to let my people go. And they're all locked up in our jails till they finally get deported. So yes, I'm still hammering away on the village plan. Again, hats off to the groups in Britain that are protesting against the invasion on the streets. But the numbers, we've just got to pick up. We've got to gather together. We must gather together. Eventually, when there are enough numbers, then people will not be afraid to have their name known. Eventually, when we have the numbers. People will not be afraid to be known, to stand up for our history, our peoples, our future. Pound away every show. We're being swamped, we're being invaded from the third world. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. I had reason to be in Oshawa, Ontario recently. Absolutely shocked. Oshawa, to the east of Toronto. I haven't been there for years. Downtown core is just swamped with third world people. Third worlders, the female section, $100 hairdos, etc., all hired by the governments near the government buildings. Hordes of third worlders. Some of them are very, very polite. Well, wouldn't you be polite if you could walk in, just get off the plane or the boat and be handed gravy? Well, those of you out there who you don't feel like supporting the British People's League, I know some of you are supporting groups right direct in the motherland, and good for you. Good for you. At least you're supporting someone. And those who have supported us in the past, of course we remember your donations in the past. We're not ungrateful. But, you know, we've got to continue. We do need the contributions to get the van plan rolling. There's about 20 young people in this town itching to do the village van plan, picketing the small villages to wake them up. But surely they're entitled to a Hamburg, and we have to get some gas money. As said, out of my pension this month, I had to pay $50 to renew the British People's League registration, etc. Crying? No, that's just reality. But it is frustrating when we've got the young people ready to go. Sure, a lot of them are unemployed, but there still are people. Rudyard Kipling said it, didn't he? It's Tommy this and Tommy that, said Rudyard in one of his famous verses. Tommy this and Tommy that, throw the bugger out. Oh, excuse me, we need him now. We need him to go to war. Well, right now we are at war with those of the third world who are invading our nations. And as said at the beginning of today's show, the elections in Britain, conservative government, won't make one teeny iota of difference to stop the invasion from Africa and Asia. Speak about Africa and Asia, more Asia. The ports of Vancouver, British Columbia. I look up skyward because I can't believe I'm about to say what I'm going to say. You've never heard me promote the public press on this show, but I will give credit where credit's due. In the National Post newspaper, so check out the May 10th edition of the National Post newspaper. There's an expose on the corruption in the ports of Vancouver, where the container ships arrive from Asia. And it's a shocker to find out who's controlling the container ships. Organized crime. They're the first ones to pry the lid off the ship. They're all given clearance at the port of Vancouver. It's a lengthy article, and I give credit to the National Post for printing this expose. I guess the stench of the corruption is so high that the public press is actually taking a stand for once on the positive side of law and order. It's a shocker. So, as said earlier, May 10th, drag Beattie to the screen here, to the YouTube. Glad that you watched today. Hope you appreciate the show. And we're wrapping her up. So take care until the next time. We can tell you right now, we're glad to have you on board. Keep it legal. God save the Queen.